When I started planting avocado trees at this property, I planted some of them in pairs. And so let me show you how they've turned out and what I've learned about managing pairs of avocado trees. This is a reed and a lamb couple, and they're exactly 9 years old because it's July 2022, and I planted these trees in July of 2013. So they're mature size, full size. I've been pruning them down to the size and shape that they are now for the last few years. They were planted 7.5 feet apart, and I pruned them down to about 12, 13 feet each year around March 1st. And I also prune that gap in between them to keep them separate. You'll notice that it goes all the way down to the ground. And the point of that is to get sunlight all the way down to the ground and to keep the side walls of the trees fruitful, even on the inside here, all the way down to the ground. So you've got lambs all the way down to the ground there, and over here you've got reed fruit all the way down. And so I'm not wasting any space. There's no side of the trees that are unfruitful. And so you can grow two trees together like that, 7.5 feet apart, keep them sort of individual and fruitful on all sides. Now let me run over to show you another pair of trees that I've managed a little differently. And hold on to your hat because I'm going to literally run. Alright, so this tree is, it's actually a pair of trees. It looks like a single tree. It's a big has, but it has a smaller mate right there on its east side. So originally, I planted a has with a surprise here, and they were also 7.5 feet apart. That was my pair. I paired those two because has is an A type, surprise is a B type. I'm a little winded from running over here, but the A and the B can cross-pollinate well. So that's the reason I chose those two. I since cut down the surprise because it just wasn't very fruitful and I didn't like the variety all that much, so I removed that tree, but I didn't totally remove the trunk. Let me get in there and show you. What I did was I just I stumped it. I cut it back to like knee high. That's the old surprise trunk in there. And then I let it resprout and I grafted it over to some other B-type varieties. Back here, this is bacon. Up here, this is zutano. This here is edronol. And this is actually an unnamed Australian variety. And so what those little trees do, I don't want that much fruit from any of those varieties. I primarily want them to provide pollen for the big has, and so that's what they do. So I keep them small, and I let the has get fairly tall. I keep it fairly small actually. It's only maybe 16 feet tall, and I prune it down to that size. But with this kind of management, I can get my cross-pollination, and I still get fairly dense foliage, and I don't have much of a cave inside. It's a little bit empty inside, but it's not super empty. And I still get some fruit all the way into the interior of the tree, right by the trunk there. So that's another pair of avocados. It's another way to grow a pair of avocado trees, and another reason that is cross-pollination. And that they can be, both of these ways, the reed-lamb pair and this Hass with the pollinizers pair, they can be maintained forever. And so there you have two nice ways to grow a pair of avocado trees. If you want space, if you have space problems, space limitations, or if you want the maximum pollination potential.